Welcome back, everybody, to 10 Questions with, powered by Honda. Our guest today is UBC head coach. He's the NAIA West Coach of the Year in 2015 and 2019. He was an international scout with the Boston Red Sox for years. Played 14 years professionally, parts of 4 years in the big leagues. We're really excited to have Chris Pritchett with us. Thanks for joining us, man.
TJ, always nice to see you. Thanks for having me.
All right, first question. UBC has always been like a best-in-class college baseball program in Canada. Talk to us about your commitment to helping Canadians reach their college potential, have a good college career, and remain in Canada at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the first part of that is that it's been going on for a while. So, I mean, Terry McCaig started this program 20-some years ago. And, they've already, even before I got here, turned out tons of professional players. The guys that developed their baseball skills right here in Canada at UBC weren't drafted out of high school, but were drafted later. And countless others, that hundreds of players that have come through and got a degree and are now doctors and lawyers. Like, that's been happening for a long time. So we're really proud of that. And that's something we're continuing to try to provide for Canadian kids, is that option where they don't feel like they have to give up on the academic side or the baseball side. They can stay right here in Canada and do both. And I think that's important for them to understand.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Next question comes from John. What do you look for in a player when you're recruiting?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously, I do have a scouting background, so there's those type of things that we're looking for, all the kind of building blocks that we feel like we can get a hold of and develop from a talent standpoint. I think first and foremost, we're looking for kids, even before that part, that are equally committed in the classroom as they are in the field. We're looking for that kind of a well-rounded guy, and kids that want to get better. And what I mean by that is that a lot of kids that are already really kind of far along from a baseball skill perspective, and have all that upside to be a great college player, or maybe even a pro player. Those kids are usually already picked off by a Division I school down south by the time we even get into the picture. So we're looking for those kids that maybe have that upside, just haven't developed it yet. So they have that movement skill, sort of like a pitcher with a real fast arm, but he's only sitting in the low 80s now. But we know there's a lot more in there. Those kind of kids that are good students tend to be a really good fit for UBC.
Yeah, no doubt. Next question comes from Corey. How have events like T12 helped you recruit the country of Canada?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, the T12 is a huge blessing for us. And then it's on the selfish side, it's a little bit of a curse too, because it's run so well. So from the positive side for us is, most of the best players in Canada are right in one place at Rogers Center for almost a week. And we get to see them play against each other. So not only do you get to see players against other good players, which is a huge recruiting advantage to see that type of matchup, but they're all there in one spot. So instead of chasing them all over from province to province and spending all that time and energy and money, they're just all in one spot. So it's a huge advantage. A lot of our players that are here now have come from that event. And then, like I said, on the selfish side, that it's so well done that all our competitors from down south are coming up here and getting a snapshot in 1 weekend of what sometimes has taken us 3 years to compile a database of players. So, but at the end of the day, I mean, we welcome that. It's about the kids and getting them some exposure and a chance to continue and play this game at a higher level. So it's awesome. I mean, we're really missing it this year, obviously, because of COVID, but looking forward to being there next September.
Yeah, us too, man. Next question comes from what takeaways did you bring from your scouting career with the Red Sox to coaching collegiate athletes?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think everything we've done in the game you bring into coaching, whether you're a player or coaches you've played for that impact you. The scouting thing is what it's really done, I think, in the immediate, when I really first look at this, is that from scouting, I had to crisscross Canada numerous times. The connections and the friends I've made that I know are really good baseball people that I trust and they trust me, makes the recruiting side so much easier because they know kind of the fit. They know that what we're going to be able to provide for the player. And when they have that type of athlete that's a good student too, they're usually going to give us the heads up and give the kid a chance to experience UBC, for example. So I think that's been a huge impact, is just having that kind of reach, or without actually having to be there, people that are kind of looking out for us. I think the other side of it is just sort of like a little bit of street cred with our players, whether it's a recruit or a kid that has draft upside and aspirations of playing professional baseball, is they know that I've both played, I've been in the draft room, and so I really can advise them on what they're getting into and what they need to be ready for. And I think that helps calm them a little bit and just gives me a little bit more trust with them in that regard.
Absolutely. Next question comes from Julian. When you started at UBC, were there any blind spots that you had to learn and develop as a coach? Some examples like bullpen management, mental performance, those type of things?
No doubt. I think that managing is humbling. So, I've been in the game my whole life, and I've played, and I've even coached a little professionally, but it was as a hitting coach, where I just looked after the hitters for the most part, and I was really focused on what they were doing offensively. To be a manager, so then all of a sudden the pitching, the shifting the defenses and all that, working with your staff, and the game sped up. But it seemed like those games, like I was always a step behind where we needed to be. At first it was, and again, that slowed down from the X's and O's point of view, I think was probably to be expected, but I didn't realize how humbling it would be. So I'm still learning, like we all are in this game, and I think much more relaxed in game situations now, which is good. But really, besides that, the tactical stuff, I think it's been, it's just new kids coming in. I didn't really wasn't prepared for kids that were 17 years old sometimes, that have been away, or they're going to be away from home for the first time, and just trying to get their feet on the ground, and realizing I got to constantly be communicating with this guys, because they, baseball players always say they're fine and they're good, and some of these kids are still having some adjustments. So, that are in progress. So I need to make sure that we're there to support them and communicate with them, and really help them get their feet under them. That's kind of been the biggest adjustment, is just looking out for those things, and realizing some of the signs of when, kids are struggling a little bit.
Next question comes from Dean. What are the biggest recruiting challenges for you that come up year over year?
Well, I think obviously UBC is a very academic school, so it's not easy to get into. It's not overwhelming, but again, that shrinks our talent pool a little bit. Guys that need to have the marks to get in here and be, good on the baseball field to fit with our program. So that's one thing. But again, there's still a lot of really good Canadian players to choose from that do have the marks to get in here. So, that's one. The second I mentioned earlier is that there's a lot more competition. So there's no kids that pretty much are unknowns now in Canada for events like T12, and also what PBR is doing, and Perfect Game and all these type of things. But to be honest, the biggest thing that still probably hampers our recruiting is just a little bit of I consider a misconception that you need to play South to get either drafted or to be in a good baseball program. And I think that kids grow up with that here, and I think it's changing, because I think the more success we have in exposure with the facilities and so on, and some of the pro players, but I still think most kids grow up here think they need to go anywhere south, no matter where it is, what school it is. They don't even know where they're going half the time, but that's going to be a better baseball environment. And I think that is just getting kids and families to understand that they can stay right here and develop their skill set, and probably have a better chance of being drafted in many cases than going down south, is something that we still fight.
Yeah, it's a frustrating thing for me. I would love for my son to go to UBC and play baseball, with the facilities and the education, and getting to stay in a major city in Canada and still have that access to the United States. And I have a good relationship with Jeff Francis, and he just talks so highly of UBC and everything. And I have other friends that went there. It is a misconception, because you talk to kids all the time. I'll say to them, well, what have you thought about UBC? And they look at me like, well, I want to go to the States. And it's like,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is that, and it doesn't, I don't take it personally. Sometimes when you have a good fit for a kid, and that they're making a mistake where they're going, and sometimes it is a good fit to go down to it, even whatever level, JC, Division II, Division I, when it works out, it's great. But when they are making that mistake and they're not really doing their homework to go down there, it is tough. And the funny thing is, a lot of times we just wait. We still are like, okay, well, please make sure you get this, this, and this in order before you go, because we want to see that you be successful. But more often than not, we get a call the next year and they're ready to come back. And, we just don't want to see them make a mistake. That's all.
Next question comes from Charles. What's the biggest difference for you coaching a freshman and a senior?
Oh, yeah. Wow. Well, I think the first thing to understand is all the freshmen are so different. They're all on a different development path, both on field, emotionally, in the classroom. So some guys hit the ground running when they get here. They're physically, their game's further along. They're going to impact our team on the field right away. Some of these kids have been at academies already and have been on their own. They know how to wash their laundry, and I mean, things that you would just take for granted, and they're just not phased at all. But then there's others that literally, they might have the same upside. They might even play on TV someday, but they come in with a different skill set as far as maturity and so on, and they're just not ready. We're just happy sometimes when those guys are able to be at the field. Maybe they've washed their clothes and they're on time. So the expectations are so different, and you compare that to a senior that's, I call it professionalized, even though we're still in college, that have learned to focus on a daily basis, manage their time. They know how to bring energy every single day, and they've worked at it, and they've been through the rigors more often than not. So a lot easier to take, to have already put the time in and have those seniors. They're kind of plug and play, and the freshmen are just all over the map. But I think our biggest thing is just to support those kids and understand that they know that they don't have to be the best player as soon as they walk on campus, that these guys have been doing it. These seniors have been doing it for 3-4 years already. They're going to be a little ahead of you in the learning curve. You'll catch them. So be okay with where you're at on your learning curve, and make sure we're just there to support them. And they all end up good, but they're so different that first year. It's pretty funny, actually.
Next question comes from Quinn. What should players look for when exploring different college programs in order to find the right fit for them?
Yeah, this is the one that we've been developing, because I think it's so important whether they end up at UBC or whatever. Our job is to make sure these kids have that right fit, and they need to know what the right questions are to ask. So many of them will take a trip or whatever. They come in, you're like, hey, well, what do you want to know about our program? We'll give them a little snapshot, and they just don't know what to ask. So we've kind of come up with a little, I don't know, 5 areas that we want the kids to explore. And no matter what, we want them to explore it. If it were UBC or Georgia Tech or Walla Walla Community College, like whatever, you just plug and play. And what we've come up with is 5 areas. The first one being obviously the baseball program. And what do you need to know about the baseball program? What's the schedule? Or the coaches like? Do they play freshmen? Who's at your position? Are you going to go somewhere where you can't play because you've got an All-American there for 3 years? Just find out everything you can find out about the baseball program. And then number 2, education, because that's such an important piece of this. We're all going to be done playing at some point. So do they have the faculty you want? If you want to be a kinesiologist and they have no kinesiology program, then that's not a good fit for you. You got to find out everything about that school that's a good fit for you. And some kids are not capable of getting an Ivy League degree. Like they need to be at a place where they're comfortable in the classroom and they can enjoy their time and play ball. So what's the school like? Okay, and then number 3 is the finances. Like, is there scholarship involved? How much does that school cost? Does that work for your family? Looking at the US Canadian dollar, what's that scholarship look like? So many kids are assuming they're on a full ride when they go somewhere, and they go down there and they're only getting their books and fees paid for. There's no living and meal plan, so it's really only a half scholarship. So what are all the finances involved in this? And then you mentioned Vancouver, the location. Like these kids, like where is your dream to go play? And then what's a reality? Do you want to be in the Northwest? Do you want to be down in Arizona where it's warm, or California? All these kids. So you gotta, where are you going to go to? If you're going to spend 4 or 5 years of your life there, is this a place you want to be when you're looking at a 4-year school? And then number 5 is the draft. Most of the kids that we talk to have draft on their mind. Not all of them, but most of them are, am I going to go somewhere where I get seen, or I'm going to be developed? Like I said, most kids at UBC are not drafted out of high school. When they get drafted, it's because they developed their skills. They had them, but they developed them here during their time at UBC or at the 4-year school. So, and what we do is we have them find out everything about those 5 areas and then rank them. So, for example, if you're a kid and school is number 4 and the major league draft is number 1, and finances are number 2, like that you put that all in there, that's not going to equal UBC. Like at UBC, you're going to have school or academics or baseball are going to be about 1A or 1B for most of our guys. And then all the finances and other stuff, the draft, those might trickle down and be in a little different order, but you got to rank them. And that just helps you pick a spot. For example, if Division I is all that matters to you in baseball and location is number 5, then you might be fine going to a really cold weather place, as long as it's Division I. But if your criteria is that location is really important to you and I want to go somewhere warm, then that's going to help you dictate that. So that's kind of what we share with our guys, and I think it's a really good formula to help find a fit for these kids. And we've had success for it, and I think it helps us also from a trust standpoint with our guys, is we don't need it to be UBC. Figure this out and figure out the right fit for you. If it's UBC, great, but we want to help them find the right spot.
Perfect, man. Next question comes from Mark. UBC has, had incredible growth competitively in their programs, but most recently with the infrastructure and new field, new facility. What's next for UBC?
Yeah, I mean, we're just kind of finishing up right now. I mean, what Terry McCaig, our director, and some really generous donors has done is amazing. Our field is state of the art. Our indoor facility allows us everything we could possibly want. I mean, I would put our facilities up with anybody. And right now, we just have a brand new batter's eye that's probably going to be done by the end of the week. And I think the last finishing touches here are a video system that's supposed to go in this month that allows us to stream games so people can watch their sons play across the country or tune in, and we can also video practices and so on. And then I think there'll be a little breath after that. I mean, there's been a lot of hard work that has gone into behind the scenes. Again, a lot of people have done heavy lifting, mainly our director. And I think the next thing would probably be, if we were to put a wish list together, I guess, would be that new clubhouse where we have where the guys can transition from school and have that kind of home away from home. I know we're talking about, the space down the left field line. Again, that's going to be a big project though. And I think we're pretty happy for right now. So I think after enjoying these for a little bit, the next project would be our facility as far as a clubhouse goes.
Awesome. Last question comes from Louis. As a competitive group, what is one thing baseball coaches in Canada can do a better job of to support their players' pursuit to attend a college baseball program?
Yeah, it's really important that we're all on the same page for this, I think, and again, we kind of mentioned this in what we do with our recruits is laying that out, is really having a short and a long-term focus for these guys and making sure they're getting the right information, right? Asking the right questions, because if you get the right fit, these kids have a chance to have, honestly, when I look back to college, it was the best time of my life, those few years. And, you make friends for life. You set yourself up potentially with an education that's going to be with you after you're done playing the game, and playing college baseball is a blast. If it's the right fit, it's amazing. I think that what we can help these guys probably understand is you can't underestimate the value of education. And what I mean by that is, optimistically, these guys will play. Who knows? I mean, I got to play 14 years, but as soon as that last day was over, I was working. I mean, you're going to use your degree, and I think that if we keep that in the forefront, that when we're helping advise these kids, that is going to happen. And that's on the optimistic point. Like, you might play for a while, but you're going to end up working. On the pessimistic side, the realistic side is, we're one throw from Tommy John surgery, or as a pitcher, or a bad turn around the bases, where we're not playing this game anymore. And again, it's that education that we need to make sure that we're looking out for at the end of the day. And it's important. You might save $1,000 to go somewhere to a junior college, and maybe that's a good fit. I don't know, but is that important enough to pass up an education that you're going to basically rely on to set you up after this is all over? Those are the kind of questions you got to ask. I just want to make sure we're getting the right information to these players so that they can choose that right spot.
All awesome answers. We really appreciate you coming by, spending some time with us. We wish you guys the best of luck in this upcoming season. We hope everybody's staying safe, and look forward to seeing everybody back on the field soon.
Hey, TJ, I really appreciate you having me, and all the support that you have given our program and the Blue Jays as well. We can't thank you enough. And you know, it's as the only university, you know, is competing down south, we feel a lot of support from you guys and across the country. So thank you very much.